Like, I was doing my research for this video, and guess what? I found myself on a Canadian provincial website, and I was like, no! Like, how? I had no idea. That photo shoot was done in 2017, and I had no idea that it was going to be purchased by Canada to be used. But yay, I'm excited. So I'm officially telling you guys to welcome to Canada, okay? Anyhow, make sure to not skip this video because I'm going to be getting to that part a bit later in this video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of Canada's most talked about immigration programs that still a lot of people do not know about or even consider. So if you're looking for the easiest and fastest way to immigrate to Canada through work, keep watching this video. In my last video, I talked about how you can begin to do your research so that you can start planning for your immigration to Canada without having to put a lot of pressure on yourself. I'm really hoping that you found that video helpful. If you have not seen that video, please make sure to check it out. It's my previous post, and let me know what you think about it if you're considering the Express Entry program. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the AIPP. Now, the AIPP is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program that started in March of 2017. Now, this program is fairly new, but because of its success, Canada decided to renew it for another 2 years. In 2019, the program was extended for 2 more years, so which means that the program is still going to be available to you until December 2021. So if you're considering a program like this is the best time to start to apply, because there is a downside to applying for this program, as I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, if you wonder what is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, now this is a program that was established as a result of the workforce gap in these Atlantic provinces. In my last video, I talked about helping yourself to get familiar with the provinces of Canada so that you can be aware of what programs are available in these provinces. So in the Atlantic region of Canada, which is basically the East Coast, there are 4 provinces that are partners for the AIPP, and these provinces are Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland and Labrador. Now, the Atlantic region is definitely one of the regions of Canada that have suffered from the lack of people immigrating through the express entry to these regions. And so because they are not one of the provinces where people are, preferring to immigrate to through the express entry program, they are lacking in workforce. And that's why this program is here to help anyone who for example is not qualified for the express entry. In this case, you can qualify for the AIPP because the AIPP is definitely the easiest and fastest way to immigrating through work as opposed to the express entry program. The AIPP has 3 categories. One is the Atlantic High Skill Program. The second one is the Atlantic Intermediate Skill Program. Third one is the Atlantic International Graduate Program. Now, the graduate program is specifically for international students who have studied in these provinces and are looking to start their career in these provinces. So they also get the opportunity to work even without having the Canadian experience. Now, let's talk about the eligibility criteria for these programs, okay? Now, one thing you have to remember is that the AIPP is employment based. So that means you must have a job offer from a designated employer in one of those provinces before you can apply for your PR. So you can see it's pretty much straightforward, but that's the clause. You must have a job, and not just a job offer, it has to be from a designated employer. How do you know who is a designated employer in these provinces? I'm going to be talking about that very briefly. The second eligibility criteria is that you must have at least 1 year out of the last 3 years of work experience in the area that you are applying for work. So it doesn't really matter that the job you're applying to is not where you're currently working. So in my last video, I talked about understanding the National Occupation Classification. You would need that also in this program, because you need to be able to categorize your skill. You can head to that video and look for the NOC classifier in the description. Put in your area of experience so that you can see what class of NOC you fall under. For the Atlantic High Skill program, you have to be in the class of 0, A or B. For the intermediate skill program and for the graduate skill program, you need to be in the class 0, A, B or C, right? So you have to pay attention to these details. The next criteria is that you must have a minimum education of high school, which is amazing because unlike the express entry program, you don't need that much education, so anybody can basically apply for this. Okay, so what you need to do is, as long as you've studied abroad, even though you have a high school program, you will still need to get your credentials assessed. Okay, it's called the Educational Credential Assessment. So you'd have to go on the World Education Service website, put in your details and make sure that you're applying to get your credentials assessed for Canadian immigration. And there you go. Now the next criteria is even the best one, is that you have at least a minimum score of 4 in your IELTS. So you don't need a high score for your English or French test. And finally, the last criteria is a letter of endorsement. Now you might ask, what is this letter of endorsement? I'm just quickly going to explain what that is to you, and then I will show you the step-by-step process on how you can get that letter of endorsement. Once you get your letter of endorsement, then you can now apply for your PR. So the first step towards getting a letter of endorsement is finding a job. How do you find a job through this program? So if I were you, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go online and look through each province's website that is a part of this program and read about them and see, you know, what province I might be more interested in or what provinces might have my skill. So I'll go through this website and look through the information. So let's look at the New Brunswick website, for example. So launch your Google tab and type New Brunswick, Canada, and it comes up. Go on the website and look through, you know, the page. The menu could be on the left or the right side depending on, you know, the province, but the New Brunswick one is on the right side. Go on the immigration menu there and click the page and, you know, look through the information. Oh, okay, now you can see me. That's your girl. So yes, again, welcome to Canada. Okay, now let's look through the information, and if you're having a hard time finding the designated employer in the information, I'm going to show you how you can easily find the designated employer just using a simple Google search. One thing you can also do is check on the upcoming events for jobs, where you can see if there are any upcoming events. So I mean, there is this whole pandemic situation, so you can see that all the events have been delayed. So right now you can just continue to keep an eye. Maybe if you're making these plans towards next year, it's just great for you to keep an eye to see what job fairs are upcoming. Now, after reading up all of the information I can find, the next thing I want to do is find a designated employer. Okay, the designated employer has his own responsibility, so all they need to do is get themselves designated. So when you're looking for a job and you make contact with an employer, ask them to show you their designation certificate, just to ascertain for yourself that yes, they are truly designated by the province that you're interested in. So let's go back again to Google and launch a Google search to find the designated employer list. So go on Google and type the designated employer for the province that you're interested in, and the list should come up. All you need to do is to look through this list to see if there is any area that speaks to your skill. One of the things you have to note is that not every employer on the list is currently employing. So there is only one way to find out who is employing, okay? Now, on this page, you can see on the top that it says you should go to that link. So you can launch that link. Another link you can also use to find the jobs is indeed.ca. So you can open this link on one tab and open indeed.ca on another tab, just in case the other provinces do not have a link that you can use to search like New Brunswick does. Open this link and copy an employer. Paste it in the search box and see what comes out. One condition that you must understand is important for you to be able to apply for your PR when you're looking for a job is that 1, the job is permanent for at least 1 year. 2, it says full-time. You have to have full-time hours of at least 30 hours a week. And 3, the job must not be seasonal. So if it's a summer job or a winter job, if you applied for it, you will not be able to get your PR because one of the conditions is that the job has to be full-time. So it has to be for at least 1 year. So make sure you're checking because some of the jobs can say full-time, permanent, and still has seasonal in the description. So make sure to pay attention very carefully. Now look through the details of the job and see if it's suited for you, and then tailor your resume to suit the job description, and then you can go ahead and apply. If you qualify for the job, the employer will contact you and give you an offer of employment. Now, once you get an offer of employment, then the rest is easy. Your employer will link you to someone called a settlement worker. This worker will speak with you, and based on what your requirements are, this worker will prepare a personalized settlement plan for you to help settling in Canada easy for you. Once your settlement plan is done, the next step would be for your potential employer to submit an application for an endorsement certificate on your behalf. This application has to be certified from the province where you have applied for a job. Once that application has been endorsed, you're going to receive an endorsement certificate. You would give a copy of this certificate to your employer, and now you can begin your PR application process. So this is how you get your certificate of endorsement. It's a long process. It's not easy trying to find a job, but if you stay at it, I'm sure you will find one. Your PR application fee for this program is about $1,325. Depending on if you're going to be accompanied by family members, you would have to pay more. Another thing you have to bear in mind is your proof of settlement fund. Your proof of settlement fund is money that you have to have with you in your account to prove that you can take care of yourself once you arrive Canada. Now, when you submit your PR application, the process takes about 6 months. But if your employer indicates to you that you have to resume work before your PR application is processed, then you can apply for a work permit in the time being and then move to Canada. If your PR application is not already in process before you apply for your work permit, you would have to apply for your work permit application with a letter of commitment stating that you will go ahead to apply for your PR within a 90-day period. So now we have talked about all of the juicy stuff. Now let's get into the advantages and disadvantages of this program. One advantage is that it is very easy and it is fast. Now the second advantage is that it has much less requirements compared to the PNPs and the Express Entry program. You require the most minimum education, which is a high school degree or a diploma. The proof of settlement funds is 3 times lower than the Express Entries. Your employer will not need to do something called a labor market impact assessment as they will do in the Express Entry. Like, there is no CRS, so it's just so easy. It's just solely dependent on whether the employer feels like you're a good fit for the job or not. And finally, you can easily get an English test score of 4. Another advantage of this program is that you get to have employment before you leave your home country. This gives a lot of peace of mind as compared to some people who do not get jobs in the Express Entry program before they come. They end up coming to Canada and have to go through all the stress of getting employment, which is not easy. But you, on the other hand, you have peace of mind because you already have a job. And because you already have a job, it's so easy for you to start building your Canadian work experience right off the bat. Another advantage is that because you have a settlement plan created specifically for you and your family, it's so easy for you to settle. They'll probably help you go through the process of renting your place, getting your documentation and all of that. So life would be easier for you. And the final advantage I want to talk about is that you get to have your PR without the hassle. Well, now let's get into the other stuff. Like we know, everything that has a sweet spot has a not so sweet spot. So let's talk about the disadvantage, or maybe the not so exciting part of this program. So the number one not so good thing about this program is that the wages may be low, maybe even significantly lower compared to other provinces. But then again, the cost of living in these provinces are also relatively low. So you don't really have to worry if you find a job that pays you, say, $16 to $20 an hour, depending on your skill. If you're a nurse, for example, you definitely earn more than someone who works in a restaurant, okay? Because this program allows all kinds of skills. Whether you're a hairdresser, you work at a spa, you work in a restaurant, you're a nurse or a technical person, a truck driver, this program is great for everybody. People in agriculture, as long as you can find an employer who fits in your skill, this will be good for you. The second disadvantage of this program is that it's highly competitive. They only accept 2,000 applicants a year, okay? So that's 500 applicants per province. And remember, because of the graduate program, you have to also compete with international students who are currently in that province. Another disadvantage is that you might not find your area of skill in all the 4 provinces. So depending on what your experience is, you may find, more employers in one province as compared to the other, which, reduces your chances of getting work. If maybe as of right now you feel like time has gone because everything is closed and you don't know when you're able to write your English test, you can make plans for next year. But for those of you who are in the Express Entry pool with maybe a low CRS and for some other reason you're just not getting your invitation to apply, you can also apply for this program. Another disadvantage is that even though the East Coast is beautiful, commuting around the city might be difficult. So you may need a car. But if you feel like you do not have the budget for that and you're able to manage your time properly so that you're able to commute effectively to work, then good for you. Hopefully you will not need to travel far between work and home, and let's hope that everything that you need is close to you. Now, like I said earlier, the East Coast is beautiful, but it is far away, and that's why some people prefer to immigrate to provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, Quebec, Montreal, and places where they can find more of other immigrants. And so because of this, you might just be thinking, oh, I want to immigrate to the Atlantic provinces and just be there for a year and just move, roam around the country and settle in other provinces. But here's the thing, the disadvantage is that it might not be that straightforward. You might need to live in the province that has employed you and given you your PR for a while. So if you're one of those people that are thinking that, okay, I'm just going to use this province as a gateway to enter Canada and then I will move to another province, this is not the Express Entry or the PMP where you can do that. You will have to allow yourself to be there for a while, and then depending on your job and your employer, you may not be able to easily move. It's not a trap, but it's just a way to ensure that the employer is not investing in you for nothing, right? So your employer would have to give you an NOC if you have to go to another province to find another job. So without this NOC, you cannot work in another province. So you have to make sure that you have an agreement with your employer to know how long you have to be on that job. So it has to be a minimum of 1 to 2 years. Remember that this is a great opportunity for you to start your life afresh. There are people who live in the East Coast and are having a wonderful time. I will be delighted to go to the East Coast because that's where my brother-in-law is from. I saw the videos and pictures from his last trip. It's so beautiful down there. Like, the air is so different and so fresh, unlike our polluted Ontario. You know, the food there even tastes different. So I'm sure you can have a wonderful time if you lived in the East Coast. Well, I'm hoping that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Share this video to your family and your friends who you think need it. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button when you do so that you do not miss any of my videos. Please also leave a comment in the comment section to let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you think about this video, if you've heard about this program, and if you're going to be applying for this program. Also, let me know if you have any questions or video suggestions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.